So there's some breaking news about Michael Cohen. Several different stories out, in fact, with the suggestion that this could be it for Cohen, for Cohen's support of Donald Trump. Now, ABC News is reporting that Cohen's legal counsel has decided just earlier today, to drop him. Well, that's weird. Usually people drop their attorneys. In this case, I think it was the opposite. And now, according to sources, since he cannot find representation, he no longer has representation, well, now he will be likely cooperating with federal prosecutors in the Mueller case. Uh-oh. So let me give you some context here. Now, this, of course, happened during a privilege review that's still ongoing of the nearly 3.7 million documents that were seized back in the raids of Cohen's properties and law office. Now, this review, right, it's basically to find out if there is attorney-client privilege. Now, wait a minute. If you listen to President Trump, which I strongly advise against, you would think, oh no, attorney-client privilege, dead. It's dead. It's dead. I mean, look, that's what he tweeted about. Well, it turns out this entire review was trying to make sure to see that attorney-client privilege stays intact. But anyway, now right after that, the raid that they got the documents at, Cohen decided to go into federal court to try to argue that his attorney should be given a first look to make sure that they didn't see anything that they didn't want him to see. Now, this is from the New York Times. Judge Wood subsequently appointed former federal judge Barbara Jones to act as a special master to conduct an impartial review of the materials and to referee any disputes between Cohen and the government. Trump and the Trump Organization intervened in the case and were also granted access to review materials for potentially privileged items. Now, the result of that, of course, is that Jones last week reported that the first of the 300,000 items reviewed, she had determined that about 162 of them were covered by attorney-client privilege. Well, so much for that being dead. It appears client attorney privilege is indeed well and alive, and 162 of those documents, of course, fell under that. Now, the rest of them, of course, can be reviewed, and we're trying to figure out what's in them. Now, what's interesting about this is that Cohen, a new breaking report, is expected to be arrested later today in relation to this. So, well, that's fascinating. Now, they're back to Barbara Jones here for a second. Now, she did reject 3 items that Cohen, Trump, or the Trump Organization had designated as privileged. Now, we're going to have to see the results of that, but it might be important, it might not be important. So just keep that context in mind. They could be important, or they could be potentially embarrassing or damaging. And so, we know that Mueller is now going to have access to those documents. Now, so this leaves Cohen in a pretty difficult spot. So many of those documents are not protected, and his lawyers, of course, have shown themselves the door. Like, oh, see you, man. We're going to drop you like a hot potato. Gone. So, where does that leave Cohen? Well, that leads, of course, to the rumors that Cohen is likely going to flip, and this is according to sources close to Cohen. Now, if he flips on Donald Trump, I've been saying before that, he could have information that is potentially incriminating, or he might not. He might just have embarrassing information or information about possible other financial crimes not related to the original Russia investigation. We don't know. So the other thing about Cohen is that Donald Trump could indeed pardon him. And that's something that we've been talking about. Trump is on a pardoning spree. He's pardoned a couple of people posthumously, as well as Alice Marie Johnson. I did that story earlier. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, this could just be a message to people close to him, Manafort and Cohen, that he's going to pardon him. I don't know if that's going to happen. That is a possibility, but that could, of course, create some other ethical issues for Donald Trump. Now, does Trump care about ethical issues? Of course not. But it might make him look bad. It might actually make the situation worse if he does give a pardon to Cohen. So, I don't know. What I do know is that as soon as this gets into the White House, and if Trump has his phone next to him, prepare for a White House Twitter meltdown. Because I can guarantee that is likely to happen.